Hello and welcome back to the Sports Brief Podcast Next Level Edition, where we bring on high school students from around the state and around the area that are taking their skills to the next level. Today joining me is Reese Jacobs. This man is a two-time state champion wrestler at 170, also a state champion at 182, and also a two-time all-state linebacker for the Sturgis Scoopers over the last couple of years. And now he is a Chadron State football commit. Reese, thank you so much for coming on. We're so excited to have you.
Of course, I appreciate it, man. Can't wait.
So let's start by talking about your transition going into, Chadron State. What led you there, and what really is going to be kind of the mindset moving forward into really a new challenge.
Okay. Well, it was a pretty easy pick for me, honestly. Like the school there, the chemistry, the people, it's like a family to me, honestly. Like everyone there, they're so nice. They come to you with open arms. I mean, they're just great people. And actually, my linebacker coach this year graduated from Chadron like 3 or 4 years ago. So he had a lot of say in it. I mean, he kind of encouraged me to go, but he wasn't like too pushy about it. Like obviously, if I went, it would have made him really happy. And when I told him that I committed, he was bouncing off the walls. But yeah, I mean, all the other schools, they were great, but just nothing felt like Chadron. Felt like a home to me. And it's a small town, which I grew up in a small town, so I can't wait.
What about, so obviously you're a stud wrestler. We mentioned it. You got 3 rings in state wrestling, excuse me. Talk to me a little bit about like the thought process, like because I know we talked about it before the show. You're not going to wrestle, but was that ever really a consideration? What was that kind of thought process like?
Yeah, I did think about wrestling in college a little bit, but thinking back on it, I think I made the right decision because football to me is just a lot more fun. And college, you have to be some sort of psycho to wrestle in college. I mean, dude, those guys, they break their bodies every single day. I mean, I try to do that too, but not to that extent. But yeah, wrestling, even in high school, it's a full-time job all year round. I mean, you always gotta be working. But yeah, football is it's way more fun. And obviously, like I said, the coaches and even the teammates that I'll have. Like I can't wait to make new friends. But yeah, it was a pretty easy decision to choose football. But
What about what are you going to measure? Excuse me. What are you going to major in when you kind of head into Chadron State?
I'm just doing business because it just seemed like the most general, and I'll still have a few years to figure it out, I guess, at least what I've heard. But yeah, I mean, that's what I want to do. I want to run my own business when I grow up and just kind of know the ins and outs of it.
Hey, thanks for watching the Sports Brief Podcast and our latest edition of Next Level. Before we get right back into the show, we got to give a quick shout out to our sponsor of this particular segment, the Bashful Bison in Rapid City. First off, Scott and Pete and the team do a fantastic job. They make the best sandwiches, hot or cold, in Rapid City and the surrounding area. No cap, definitely not even a discussion. Secondly is they're only locally sourced, which means that they only buy from local producers in the area, which is a huge emphasis of the business, supporting local and keeping it local, as well as the money here in the state of South Dakota. In other words, know the story of your food. And third and finally is, hey, no matter where you are in the Black Hills or really in the on the western part of South Dakota, they have a sandwich for you. That's right, the Pahasapa, the Pine Ridge, the Edgemont, the Sturgis. You gotta love that Sloppy Joe. Oh yes, the New Underwood, the Rapid City. It doesn't matter. They've got a sandwich for you in your area. So if you're in Rapid City, or you're coming through Rapid City, or if you're in the area, make sure you stop by the Bashful Bison in Rapid City and get the best sandwich that can be made. So deciding not to wrestle at Chadron clearly had its weight and everything and all that, but you're excited to join the football team and all that. So what do you expect being kind of the big transition, if you will, going from high school football to the college, the big leagues, D2? What do you really see as being the major jump there?
I think the major jump is putting in the work every single day. I mean, I try to do it as much as I can right now. I mean, it's like I'm going to the weight room every day, but it's nothing like what it'll be there. You know what I mean? Like you wake up and you're working all day long, like during spring camp and all that stuff. And I think I'll adapt quickly. I don't think it'll be too much of a challenge. Well, it will be a challenge, but like I don't think it'll be like necessarily grueling where I can't, where I'll have to quit football. But yeah, I think that's just the major jump is just staying determined, staying motivated, like all day, every day. So.
You also mentioned business, by the way, talking a little bit about the idea of owning your own business. What did you potentially really want to what kind of business did you want to own?
Well, my parents now, they own Jacobs Auto Repair. It's a small business in Sturgis. We actually just moved locations. We're like dead center in town, but now we're a little further away, and it's so much nicer. We got so much more space, and they're it's a mechanic shop, by the way. Like my dad's owned it for shoot as long as I can remember, and I'm thinking that, but I'm also looking towards the more machining sides of things, where I can just like make whatever I want and sell what I want to sell and not just like be at one specific path. You know what I mean? And my biggest plan was to go through college and learn about the business side, and then after get the entrepreneur apprenticeship or something where I can just do for like 6 months and then figure it all out from there. So.
That makes a lot of sense. Did you so when you're kind of looking at this? Because obviously, the congrats to your parents for moving location. By the way, that's awesome. I'm glad they, things are working out in that regard. How do you think, and maybe this could be kind of something that, maybe plays into that a little bit. How do you think whether your past experience? By the way, I got to backtrack here for a second, actually, because
Yeah, no problem.
you actually only played football since eighth grade, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what was that like, kind of going from really only playing football for 5 years now to playing at a D2 school that is very much respected, especially when it comes to football?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna play my seventh grade year, but I broke my foot. But honestly, I was homeschooled all the way up until the freshman year. That's just my parents' beliefs, and I think it worked out for me in the long run personally because I got to really explore myself and like it was pretty much recess all day long for me. You know what I mean? I mean, it was really nice. But no, I going into football my eighth grade year, um, it was actually like it was total success right off the bat. I was team captain. You know, we went undefeated the whole season. It was so much fun, and um, the friends and people that I met, like it was just a totally different experience that I never felt. And going into my high school years, like I just kept getting better and better and stronger and faster, and it just all the cards laid out perfectly for me, pretty much. So, and I wanted to play since like most kids, since like flag football and the little pee wee stuff, but I don't know, we just never really got into it. We just were more wrestling and baseball then. So.
Dude, that's awesome. I really, I feel like you're a kid that obviously, you started, by the way, how'd you break your foot? I got to ask that question.
Well, it was actually pretty dumb. I was on a trampoline. I didn't even know I broke my foot. Like I just like we were jumping off this tree and then we landed on the trampoline a bunch of times, but yeah, it was just a stress factor. I mean, it wasn't anything serious, didn't need surgery, but yeah, it was healed in a few months.
I don't worry. I had a trampoline growing up that I also struggled with. I actually bounced my older brother off the trampoline once. But talk to me a little bit about wrestling, because I feel like obviously there's some kind of things that kind of happen with wrestling that make it one of those things where there's some similarities when it comes to football. How do you think that being a three-time state wrestling champion is going to help you play college football, or do you really see any benefits to that?
Oh yes, for sure. I would recommend wrestling to pretty much everybody. It is the probably the toughest sport that you could do in high school. I mean, it is grueling every single day. You have to be in and ready to work. And wrestling has been a part of my life since I can even remember. I mean, we've grown up, and my parents have always taken me to such far places to go wrestle, and it was always such a great time. And now that it's over, it's like it's really sad, but I'm really glad that I got to make the most out of it. But yes, for sure, it will definitely help me in the long run because it has definitely shaped me as a person and my work ethic, my dedication, and even my motivation. They've all increased dramatically. Like even when I was young, I just wanted to go and wrestle. I wanted to get a workout in. I wanted to do something. You know what I mean? So yeah, it'll definitely help me so much.
So, kind of, what is the expectation as you kind of move forward here? Moving into Chadron. I know we kind of touched on a little bit before the idea of the transition and all that, but what do you expect? Kind of going, because I remember what it was like for me going in to play college ball. It was like, okay, really just trying to just get on the bus. That's all it was all about. For you, what's kind of the thing for you? Is it special teams? What are you really looking to do in order to make your impact early here at Chadron State?
Well, my biggest thought is like to improve every single day. I mean, obviously compete amongst each other and try to get on that top spot, but I'm sure you've heard about the new rule, the red shirt rule. It's where you can play in 3 games and then still obtain your red shirt, which that is super cool. And I really hope that um, having my red shirt and being able to hopefully play in 3 games will give me some experience, like what it's like on the college level compared to high school. But yeah, I mean, I just working hard every day to get better. That's what I strive for. I mean, obviously, I want to play as much as possible, but I just want to do what's right for the team, get better for myself. So
Absolutely. What about also the idea? So 3 games. I think that's really going to help. Those younger players like yourself that come in. Really just want to see because it is definitely going to be a different speed level. That was one of the biggest things I noticed. Really, even just watching tape, like there's the different speed level, the different sizes of everybody, and all that kind of stuff. What are you kind of looking for as far as the academic side of things? There's a lot of freedom that comes with it too. What are you? What's kind of the thought process, kind of looking at that and kind of going into a situation where you have a lot more freedom? You can really dictate what your schedule looks like and that kind of thing.
I really think it's going to be a lot more beneficial to me to be able to like plan out my days more. And like in high school, you go to the same classes every day, and it's like it gets long and tiring. But being able to have that free time and like especially rest time in between lifts or practice, like I think it's going to be really beneficial to me because I'm more of a kind of guy to work out really hard and then just have some downtime. But when you work out really hard, then you have to do homework and then you got to wake up early for school. It's not really the schedule that I like, but with what I've heard from friends that are in college now, like it's totally different. It'll be so much easier for me to be able to like plan my days out and figure out what I need to do at certain times. I think it's gonna be a lot better. And I'm sure the class will be a lot harder than what I've had to do, but with like I said, with that extra free time, I think it'll be about the same, if that makes sense.
What are you just in terms of like the idea that because you mentioned it, the school side of things being a little bit tougher. I know exactly what you're talking about, or at least potentially. Excuse me. As far as your time at Sturgis, excuse me, what has something that something you've learned that you really feel like you really want to pass on to a younger athlete, or maybe somebody that you run into every day in school, a little fourth grader that was there at the pep rally, something like what's something you want to pass on to whether it's a younger athlete or someone that you hopefully and really the community of Sturgis that you inevitably left your mark on.
I just say stay motivated and stay dedicated. I mean, it's one thing to stay motivated, but when you're motivated and like maybe when you go to sleep, like, oh, I'm going to wake up and go work out, or I'm going to go do this in the morning. Well, that's a very short period of time of motivation. Dedication, you have to stay dedicated for like years. Like, that's what I'm trying to say is being dedicated is more important than staying motivated because when you're dedicated, it's like something you have to do. It's something in your brain that you can't control. Like if you want to achieve something, you got to stay dedicated. That's the biggest thing that I would say to somebody, and that's something that I used to preach to my own football team. It's like, hey guys, I don't care if we got to lift. You got to stay dedicated. You guys want to win? Like this is what you got to do. So that's what I would say to somebody younger or even one of my peers.
That's awesome. Is there, as we kind of wind it down here, is there anything else that you'd like to add again for whether it is, maybe again another athlete like you just talked about, or anything else that you'd really like to say, kind of about the journey moving forward and going to Chadron State and anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, I would just like to show my appreciation for all of my family and friends and even coaches. Like I've been so grateful for them for the past years, and like I've been so fortunate to be coached by such great people, so personable people. Like, and my parents have supported me all 4 years of high school and even before then. And like the biggest thing with my football coaches, they came to us in eighth grade and they made us feel included, and that's like a huge factor when you're even with kids that age because they want to feel included. Like you don't want to go up to high school and feel intimidated and not want to work because then you're not going to get any better because you're intimidated. But yeah, I just want to thank everybody for pushing me and helping me strive to what I want to achieve.
That's awesome, my man. Well, I got to say thank you so much for coming on. I'm really going to be rooting for you there at Chadron. I hope you get on for all 3 of those games, and hopefully really hope you get to start and really just get to see what it's all about. But I got to say I thank you again for coming on, man. It was truly a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get out of here. Once again, thank you guys so much for joining us for the Sports Brief Podcast, our latest edition of Next Level. Make sure you guys subscribe and like to be able to get the latest athletes that come on and talk with us about going on to the next level. Once again, thank you guys so much for joining us, and take it easy.